Yeah!
It's my absolute pleasure. I had the pleasure of hosting him several times. I'm so looking forward to this. He is an award-winning actor, director, and producer whose incredible body of work includes, but absolutely not limited to, and make some noise if I say something you like, Do the Right Thing! Woo! DuckTales!
Yeah!
Once Upon a Time!
Woo!
Harley Quinn! The Boys!
Yeah!
The Mandalorian!
Woo!
Godfather of Harlem! An acclaimed performance in Breaking Bad as Gus Fring.
Woo! Hell yeah!
And most recently in Captain America, Brave New World! Please welcome the best dressed man in the convention business, Giancarlo Esposito!
Hey! See you, Jacksonville.
It's good to see you, Jacksonville.
What's going on? Pleasure to be here.
Pleasure to have you. Oh, how you been? You're, again, one of the most hardest working men in the business.
Yeah, I've been shooting in Saudi Arabia 2 days ago and shooting in New York yesterday, and I'm here today. So it's good when you get a chance to do what you want to do. Had to make it for you all now.
Okay, he and I have a little thing where I throw out one little project of his sort of in the what I call the pre-Breaking Bad era, because people, it's like you've been working for so long and that quick on this zeitgeist now, but I always love to talk about this stuff. So this time, just want to throw it out because we lost a member of the cast. Twilight, 1998.
Yes.
Absolutely murderer's row as far as casting goes.
Yeah, great movie.
Yes, that was a wonderful too. And you got to work with Paul Newman.
Sure did. Paul and I became friends on that movie. It's a great piece. You know, Robert Benton directed it. Of course, we had Gene Hackman in it.
Yep.
And he was a wonderful addition to our cast. And Susan Sarandon. Just a great, Robert Benton, the filmmaker, really had a great eye to cast people and one of the old school storytellers. And I don't know how many of you have seen that movie, but it certainly is a wonderful one.
It's definitely worth checking.
Sure is.
Absolutely. And the most recent one that's hitting the fandom world, of course, Captain America, Brave New World.
Yeah, baby. Zach Volker.
How did that come about? Because, I think we talked about this now. You were always at the top of a lot of wish lists of fan castings for Marvel characters. So, there was things across the board and everything else, and then you pop up as Sidewinder. So, how did this manifest?
Well, fans had wanted to cast me as Professor Xavier, Professor X, and that had gone on for a while. And when fans come to me at Comic-Cons, I think it's where it all started. I say, hey, keep putting that out there because it just gives me an inroad with Marvel, and I would have loved to have done that. And that led to a meeting with one of the Marvel executives at the Emmy Awards, who was very well aware of it. Like, the studios are very well aware of fan casting, and they pay a lot of attention to it. But they weren't ready to do that, and they've already done it, and they'd never do it the same way again. And that was perfectly fine. And then they were making Brave New World, and the film. They tested the movie. It was supposed to come out last year, and they decided not to release it and to make some changes. And I got a phone call one day asking me if I wanted to be a part of it, that they were rewriting a piece of it, and they came to me and said, we think we'd like you to be someone in the Serpent Society. So it led to a whole conversation, a very, amended conversation, and this all happened in a couple of weeks, to say, are you available? Will you come to Atlanta? Will you come down and help us figure out what this is? And I did, and that's how that happened. It was just a very auspicious moment in time. I had been to Mexico a couple of weeks before this happened, and I had got word they wanted to talk. And so in Mexico City, they really have a great admiration for serpents. And it all felt very, I went to the Diego Rivera Museum, and it was just so interesting to see the artwork he did that had so many serpents within it. And it felt like it was meant to be. And so I started to do my work on Seth Volker, and that's what was decided. And figured out, oh, he was the same height as me, the same weight as me, and I started to be inspired. I mean, part of what I do as an actor with any role that I take is find, I let the role speak to me and figure out how to be inspired. And it's a lot like life. If you are quiet enough for a moment to let the universe's energy speak to you, then you get inspired, and that energy can take you anywhere you want to go.
Well, John, I'll take some of the questions. As always, I just want to thank you. Thank you for your talents and your professionalism and all these fine performances that you've done throughout your entire career. And you have been a great friend to fandom. And you're so wonderful coming out here. You take the time with all your fans and everything else. And from my side of that, thank you for doing that so much.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I feel like, where would we be without fandom? Where would we be without, and I come to Comic-Cons because it's a place where people can be in, wonder and joy and anticipation and have fun and have a weekend where they cosplay and dress up and then meet some of the people that have inspired them. And so it's a wonderful place to be, to have some imagination. And that's what our world should be. And if you can take some of this with us during the week, that would be good too.
And in my imagination, my wish list, you pretty much mapped in all the fandoms. We need to get you your own starship in Star Trek.
Yes, indeed.
And you need to be the first American Doctor Who.
Yeah, wow, that would be so great. I'd love to be this would be a fun thing.
So that'll be the next fantastic. We got Jenna Marble surreptitiously, and we'll get you into that. All right, like I said, we'll go ahead and do a line, and we'll kind of take it down this way, and who wants to come on? All right, come on, brother. All right. Hey, what's your name?
Christopher Hill. I got a question for you.
All right.
Do you seek out the role of a villain, or do they just come to you?
Well, once you play one good villain, they want you to play another. I played some good guys. I realized early on in my career that the villainous characters, or that so-called label, are the exciting characters that turn the fans on, and they're sort of the attention of any movie or TV show because they're complicated characters. And I think it's harder to play the villain than it is to play a nice guy.
Hello, what's your name?
My name is Caleb. Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great.
You look fantastic.
Thank you. I just have a very simple question, seeming simple. What is your favorite color and why?
Well, black. Because it's a neutral canvas. Black is neutral, white is neutral. Both of those to me are the same color at different spectrums. And mostly if you blend on any color, all the colors together, they'll all come out as black, which is interesting. But my favorite color of all is purple. Because purple is the color of royalty. It has a high vibration, it has all the color tones in it, so I would say purple.
Thank you. Hi, what's your name?
Hi, my name is Chino.
What you got?
Hey, Chino.
I'm a huge fan of your work. Let me just go ahead and say that. I think you're probably the best live-action villain I've ever seen in anything. And I was really tuned into your work because you worked with a YouTuber that I like named Corey Kenshin.
Yeah.
Fantastic dude. I just got a question. You're on a lot of Vince Gilligan projects, and they're some of my favorites. Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul. What's the funniest thing that has happened to you while working on those?
Well, Aaron Paul in a chicken suit while I was down in those toys for a while. And I didn't know it was him. And he comes in dancing and, kicking his feet in the air. And I'm like, who is this? It's like a hired actor come down to lighten up the set. And all of a sudden he takes the chicken head off and it's Aaron Paul. Aaron is a really fun guy. And that particular set was wonderful to be on because everyone was so so galvanized by the writing of the show. And when you have a show that's written so well and really tells the story of characters and their interactions with each other, you're in heaven. And this show has become iconic. So I've been very blessed with being in some really good projects with people who are really committed. Part of what we learn through entertainment is what we like, right? You watch shows and you find out what you like, and when you really investigate those shows, you really start to see the excellence of how they're put together. And so she give you an example of how to live your life in many ways. These shows don't just happen; they're a cut above because they have been thought out mindfully, and written very well. So it just teaches me that to be a part of excellence and is to work with people who are at the top of their game and do the best that they can. Why? Because it inspires me, right? If I'm just working for a penny or working for a dollar, to me it's all the same. It's about working toward that excellence that I strive to have in my own life. And so that plays into not only your personal relationships with each other, but it also plays into to your integrity. And so it allows you to really connect with being really alive. Because when you're really doing something that you love, you feel it. You're not bored, you're really interested, you want to learn, you want to know more, you want to go further. And if you're not feeling that, then you're not really living.
I told you his answers were going to be great. Hi, what's your name? Carolyn Rutton. What you got?
Well, I've been following your career for years. We're about the same age. We've spotted you in Trading Places, Bakersfield PD, School Days, and you have gone through such an evolution in so many different genres. How have you, as a person of color, been able to manage your career so you consistently evolve toward strong leader characters?
Well, so part of what our lives are about too are intention. You set an intention for what you want. I have a saying that if you don't know where you're going, you're never going to get there. And if you don't challenge yourself, life is filled with challenges, and you can feel like you're not being allowed to do what you want to do, and you can say that they didn't let you, or you can say, I would like to awaken a consciousness that invites what I want to do. So that's setting an intention. And so how I've been able to do it is I've been able to play different characters because I've allowed myself to think out of the box. And I've gone in for those characters, and sometimes you have to tell people how to represent you. I have representatives who, people call and say they want me to audition for this, that, or the other, or they call the studio and say, we hear you have this movie, maybe Giancarlo can be up for this part or that part or the other part. Well, you have to direct them to learn how to speak about you. In your own cases, you have to figure out how you want to talk about yourself, right? Because part of what we do in life is we sell ourselves. And you have to be able to find the words. How would you describe who you are and how you can contribute to a certain company and what you can contribute to them? It's like going in for a job opportunity, right? And they ask you 10 questions. And you answer them all, and you give them your resume, and they say thank you, and you get up and leave, as opposed to saying, wait a minute, tell me about your company. What can you offer me? It's not a one-way street. And so to be like in Breaking Bad, I was inspired by one line that Vince Gilligan wrote in the stage directions of the very first episode I was in. It was hiding in plain sight. And I thought about it. Like, when do we take the time to be mindful? What does that mean? I thought about my neighbors. Do I really know what they do? They say they do this, but do they really do that? Right? And I thought about what that meant. And I thought about what I do as an actor. I take on masks, I take off masks. I'm this person, I'm that person, I'm the other person. Well, we all are that person. We all have different masks that we wear in different situations. And so that one stage direction allowed my imagination to go. And I started to do things in the first episode that I had with them that inspired them because I was inspired. So that's how life should go. So in that job interview, you say, wait a minute, before we end this, can I ask you about your company? How can I contribute? What if I have suggestions, are you willing to hear them? I think a lot about this because I've been in 10 job interviews, and your company seems right for me. Let me tell you why. It's to be assertive, right? And to take control of your destiny. That's what we all should be doing with our lives.
Thank you. I just said this too, we're doing this like this so that he can get a clear shot in this video.
Yeah, it's for his daughter who's down at Howard University. Hey girl, how you doing? No, it is.
Hey, what's your name?
Hi, my name is Ryan, and I've been a fan of you for well over a decade at this point. And a question I had was, how was it like working with Francis Ford Coppola on Megalopolis? I know it was kind of a weird production from what I know, but how was that?
It was wonderful. I mean, it's the second time I've worked with Francis, who's a visionary filmmaker who's not afraid to make the movie he wanted to make, whether or not you see it or understand it. This is a project that I had done a reading with Francis 35 years ago of this particular script. So it's been a lifelong effort. And it's a really great example to be committed, to show us, when Francis invested over $100 million of his own money to make this movie. And it's because he had a burning desire. So when you have a burning desire in life and you are trying to get someone else to finance it or tell your story and it doesn't happen, what do? And he was able to leverage some of his own fortune to be able to make something he really wanted to make, and he may never make that money back, but that didn't matter. What was more important to him was to tell a story that some people could relate to. A story of the future, a cautionary tale, a story that allows us to think differently about the world that we're in, and that's what we do as artists. But that's also what we do as human beings, right? Because when we really think about it, some of us just make a living, okay, but that's, that's fine. We're householders. I have 4 daughters. I happen to be in a creative entertainment world, but our whole lives are really creative. And when you think about it, if we're not sleepwalking through our lives, and sometimes it's hard to wake that part of ourselves up, because what do you dream about? Think about that. Like, what was your dream last year, the year before, or when you were 16, or when you were 10? What was your dream? Did you trade that dream away? Did you say, oh, that dream, I'm not gonna do that dream because it's not practical, it's not realistic, it's not gonna happen, right? All that is the way you think, and the way you think guides what you do, right? And so we don't think it's that easy, we don't think it's that simple, but believe me, it is that simple. You send out an invitation, and that invitation allows you to constantly think in a different energetic field. And it's that easy. And when you start to think that way, it's training, because you have to unwind all the thinking, everything you've been taught, all the things you've learned, when you watch your friends and have those conversations, when you hear from your parents, oh, that's not realistic, you're never gonna do that. That sticks with you. You've gotta break that cycle, and you've gotta go for that dream that you had, that's still inside you, that you still think about, that you never made good on. All right, you can make good on it no matter how old you are, no matter what age you are, because you have to ask yourself one question. Am I happy? You got to ask yourself that question. This is your birthright. Happiness is supposed to be. You're supposed to be fulfilled. You're supposed to be happy. You're supposed to be excited every day that you get up about what you do. And if you're not, figure out what it takes to do that. And I'm saying, it's as simple as retraining your thought form. Because once you retrain that, your whole spirit changes, your energy level changes, and you go for what you really want to do and what you're always supposed to be able to do, what you were meant to do in life.
Thank you. Hi, what's your name?
Hi, my name is Michael. Huge fan of your work and Breaking Bad. As this Hollywood frame. I have a question. What gave you the inspiration for the character of Gustavo Fring?
To me, it was really the hiding in plain sight stage direction, and it was someone who I felt was so fastidious and held himself close to the vest that he could be selling toothpaste. He didn't need to be selling crystal meth. He had an integrity about what he was doing. And we hadn't seen a character like that. We'd seen many stereotypical characters who are labeled the villain and bad guys, and I could have just done that. But the guy had a dream and a vision. He thought he could do it better than the Salamancas. He knew he could. He's primarily a businessman. So I actually, with this particular character, I started a practice years ago of reading a script and honoring the writer's words. But I wouldn't give that character a voice until the voice came to me. So I'd be whispering the script until it came. The inspiration came into a voice. And then all the mannerisms came after that. So it's being mindful. Like, when are we quiet enough to be mindful enough of planning what our goal is for the next 5 years? Where, I lived for years, hand to mouth, and not planning my next day, and not planning my next year, and not thinking about what my life could be, right? So that I was missing the boat. So to sit down and really start to think about, what is it that I'm here for? How am I guided? What should I be doing? Those are questions that are really important because it goes so fast that, you know, shouldn't you be getting out of it what you really want to do? So Gustavo Fring was a creation that I'm really very, very proud of because it allowed me to slow everything down. The whole idea, the whole way Gus came about was leaving space. The writing was so good. Like normally I'm working with the words and going, maybe I change this or fix this or ask them if they can reword this. The writing was perfect. And I thought, what can I bring to it? It was a stillness. It was an observation. I realized that people get uncomfortable when you start to slow the pace down. When you start to give them all of your attention. When you start to really look at them and take them in. It's awkward because everyone's in such a fast-paced way of doing things. And so I said, how do you do that? You gotta sit here and you gotta breathe. It's awkward. It's uncomfortable. It doesn't feel right, but it has intention. And so when people would speak to me, they'd say something to me, I'd just look at them. And I wouldn't answer until I was ready to answer. How often do we do that? It's like when someone says something, you answer right away. You're supposed to have the answer. And I don't always have the answers, and that's how I created this character. I realized to leave space for me to have an honest reaction. You know, my daughter, my youngest daughter, she would say something, I go, ha ha ha. And she'd look at me and she'd go, Papa, knock off the fake laugh. Right? We all do it because we're on autopilot. Right? So I stopped living on autopilot. I stopped pretending I heard what you said, and I went, what did you say if I didn't hear you? Or I really heard you and I was processing it. So it's taking the time to live every moment to the fullest, and that's how I created yourself. Thank you.
Hi, what's your name?
My name is Erica. Thank you so much for being involved in the project of all these years. You know, what makes a great bad guy? You know, because you were involved with the Mandalorian and Breaking Bad. And
It's a great question. I think what makes great bad guys to make that bad guy human. I mean, that really is it. You know, as opposed to, you know, we've seen, so we're all very savvy as fans, and we've seen a lot of movies and television, and we know what the bad guy is right away. And I think what many actors, that they play into that, they make the mistake of not playing against it. And for me, in my roles as a villainous character, I play against it. Because there is no bad guy. Like, look, Moff Gideon is a fallen hero. He's the flip side of a hero, right? So then, there's gotta be some good in there somewhere. Even if it's not written and you don't see it. So if you think in your brain that he's just someone who had some great ideas that no one wanted to listen to, so he just went rogue. Like we all want to go rogue at one point or another. So you have to, for me as an actor, I have to figure out, like, where is his fatal fault, right? And I have to think about what makes him good, what makes him think he's a genius and can solve everything, and what makes people not want to listen to him. Like, he could be too intense, he could be too over the top, he could not have enough grace, but he's still not a bad person, because I think humans are intrinsically good. And I think we make a choice. And if we don't consciously make the choice to be graceful and kind and listening and warm, then we're sometimes in a bad mood, right? So it takes a lot of energy when you're in a bad mood to be polite. But we should always be polite. We should always be sharing. We should always be giving. So I think for me, it's been to find the goodness in the bad. And then people see a part of themselves. Like, I knew when I was doing Breaking Bad, and even Moff Gideon, I didn't want to play Tony Soprano with the little dog and the stereotype. Again, we've all seen it before. Why don't I do something that people haven't seen? And that's what I always look for in the characters I play.
Thank you.
Hey, what's your name?
My name is Christian.
What you got?
Hi, Christian.
Hi. I have a question. I think I've heard anyone talk about it. How is your cameo on Community?
I get asked about that a lot. It was interesting. I got a call. I I think, a couple of days before they wanted me to be there, and I was on my way to another film shoot, but I figured out I could, Dan called me, and I figured I could get through LA to do it. And I got there at midnight, had to shoot at 6, and they had no script. So I thought, this will be interesting. Somewhere around 1 in the morning, the script came. I stayed up half the night. I was traveling with my second child. She was, at the time, I think she was probably around 18. And I stayed up all night and learned all my lines, and I got to the set, and no one else knew any of their lines. And I thought, oh, this is interesting. And then my daughter came inside and for a few minutes from the trailer, and she came up to me about 15 minutes into the rehearsal and said, Papa, I'm going to be in the trailer, and I want to tell you something. I said, what? These are not your people. I will never forget it. And I tried to explain to her, these are comedians. They don't really learn their lines. She's like, what do you mean? She said they kind of are a little looser. They say what they want. I had a good time. It was a really interesting day. And then I went back for another day or so. And it taught me a lot, because sometimes when we're a fish out of water in a certain genre that we're not used to, we have to figure out how to play in that sandbox. And so for me, I had a great time playing with Chevy and all the other cast members on that show.
Thank you. Hello, what's your name?
I'm Sarah.
Hi, Sarah.
Hello. So my question is, looking back, thinking about those first auditions, those first gigs, based on what you know now, what advice would you give your younger self back then?
Oh, I get asked this, and it's a good question. I think the advice I would give is to tell myself to have confidence, and to tell myself to develop things for me, as opposed to just going out and auditioning for pieces that people are asking me to do. And of course, when you're young, you don't have that kind of confidence, but that's what I would tell myself. Develop something for yourself. Right now, I have 2 options on 2 different novels. I have a writer attached to one. I've been pitching a Stephen King piece. Is to be in creation, right? That's kind of what I do. But I think it takes a long time to feel confident. I tell myself to have confidence that you can do it, and to dream big.
Come on now. Hey, what's your name?
My name's Bradley. You're a beautiful man. Beautiful. And I was.
Where's this going?
I was just wondering, do you know of any good fast food places after this? Because I'm really hungry. For
Los pollos hermanos. This is my guy right here.
All right, was that it? All right, you got it. All right, just get off shift. That's good. Hey, what's your name?
Hey, my name's Lyle.
Hey, Lyle.
So life's been a little bit hard recently, and I kind of need a raise in my pay, sir.
Can you cook? 99%, nothing less than 99%. If you can cook, I got a job for you.
Really?
Why not?
Hey, what's your name?
I'm Paul.
What you got, Paul?
First of all, hi.
Hi, Paul.
Very nice to see you. So, I've heard a lot of jokes so far about, you always play villains, this and that. If you could choose your dream hero character, or if you could be a heroic figure in a certain franchise, what would you pick?
Look, when I was young, I grew up on Superman. And then I, without knowing that one day I would meet and befriend Christopher Reeve. I had the opportunity to be around Superman, who had, a very interesting and Superman kind of life. And if you haven't seen the documentary on Christopher and Dana and their family, you should see it, because it's really ideal to know how twists and turns in life can change us and can allow us to be even more heroic than we ever imagined. I used to watch Flash Gordon when I was young, and always wanted to fly, beginning with Mary Poppins when I was really young. How she opened that umbrella and just took off. All of the analogies for me have been about opening your wings and soaring and flying. And look, then I'm in, Captain America: Brave New World. I mean, these guys got these wings that go, come out, and he's flying, and he's like a supersonic jet. So it's all been an analogy for how to soar, S-O-A-R. How do we soar? How do we allow ourselves to be in a position where we can really soar? And so I'm in it. I'm in it with Sidewinder. I'm in it with Moff Gideon. I feel like these are the big kind of tentpole movies. And if you haven't seen a movie that I've recently done called Electric State, which is now on Netflix, it is a beautiful film. It really is a wonderful movie, and if you haven't seen it, you can go home and watch it. And in this, I play a character who is, in the beginning, somewhat villainous, who has a beautiful turn in the end. And so to me, these are the kind of characters, I'm living the dream of the characters I've always wanted to play. And to me, when you're able to dream big and think about your future in a different kind of way, you start to attract what is really for you. And so I hope I answered your question, but I'm doing it.
Thank you. Hey, what's your name?
My name's Holt.
Hi, Holt.
Hi. So, I'm a little bit nervous right now. You played like one of the most iconic TV villains of all time, and that sent shockwaves throughout all kinds of media. There's been a lot of characters who are trying to be like Gustavo Fring or trying to like capture that same essence of him. How do you feel about making such an impactful character like that? And who's your favorite Gus Fring-like character and why?
Well, it's an honor to be copied or to have other actors try to emulate your style and do what you do. And so to me, I feel like it's a little overwhelming to when someone said to me, you're a pop culture icon now. I kind of don't know what that means. I mean, I know what it means, but I still do everything I do from a place of organic truth. And I still try to figure out how do I make it truthful, honest, and real for me. And so there's no copy. Look, each and every one of us are original. And when you start to really realize that, from your thumbprint to your handwriting, to your voice, to your walk, through your brain, through your intellect, through your soul, you're original. And so I don't really, and the second part of your question I can't answer because I don't know who all those people are who are trying to be me. So I'm trying to think, this saying, I think it's Oscar Wilde, said, be yourself, everyone else is taken.
Hello, what's your name?
I'm Laura.
Laura.
Hi. So I'm a big fan of fandom, and I'm wondering if you could share a memorable, experience with a fan.
Yeah, I mean, I have a few. Look, I meet people who come up to me at Comic-Cons who say, people say, you're gonna be looking like, and some don't look anything like me at all, and others are like, wow, yeah, they look just like Gustavo Fring or Moff Gideon. It's really a wonderful honor to feel like people want to create their character just like you created yours. But I think some of the greatest moments have been when I started to be tattooed on people's bodies. And I started to think, oh my goodness, wow, that's gonna be on your body forever. And it's Gus Fring, it's half his face. And so a guy walked up to me, I could see him coming at me in my line at a Comic-Con signing, and he walks up to me and he starts doing this. And I'm like, no, don't take your pants down. And he said, well, okay. And then he starts going for his leg, and he's pulling his pants all the way up, and sure enough, on his calf is Gustavo Fring, and it was a beautiful tattoo. And it was interesting. I had the same experience with a woman who's walking up to me going like this, no. Do not open your shirt. And so she opened the top part of her t-shirt, and of course I was right on the top of her collarbone and chest. It's a great honor, but that's been like the funniest stuff. I mean, the guy was really funny, because he literally was dropping his pants. And I said, we got children here! There are children here, don't do it! But I've had some moments, yeah, thank you.
Great, thank you. Wonderful question. Hey, what's your name?
Hi, I'm Jose. Yeah. To follow up on the last question, whenever you're at like one of those like convention panels where like people like give you stuff, do you find that like endearing when they give you like a silly like, oh, here's a plushie and you're like super serious because you're like Gus Fring, like you act like Gus Fring.
I get a lot of that these days. I think it's very interesting. You know, it's the juxtaposition between having something that is hysterically funny to them, and probably to many others, against a very stoic, straight-faced guy. And I think it gives people pleasure, so I don't mind doing it.
Yeah,
I knew where this was going. Okay, what you got? What you got?
It's just like the too many losing heroines manga.
What is it?
Oh, too many losing heroines.
Yeah.
Okay, you want to take a picture with this?
Yeah.
Well, come on over here. Okay, it looks like it's written the wrong way. Okay, we like that.
That's how they do it.
But I have to read this way. Okay, here we go. We're gonna. Yeah, no one knows how to use the phone. It takes 10 minutes to get the phone. It's supposed to be so easy, right? All right, here we go. All right. Beautiful. Say cheese. All right. Lovely.
All right, there you go.
Thank you.
You know, usually they tell me not to allow that, but okay. But he's cool. All right, that was the last one. You give us something at the table. Okay, all right, come on up here. Hey, what's your name?
Lauren, what you got, Lauren? How was your time during Once Upon a Time, like the show? I like that show.
Oh yeah, I love doing Once Upon a Time. I squeeze that in between another gig, and I love Lana Parrilla, and I love the fact that you have, you know, fairy tales we're supposed to really stimulate our imaginations, and the Grimm's fairy tales were never a fairy tale completely. They were kind of grim. And so these stories were mythological in many ways to get us to think differently. So when I went to Vancouver many, many years ago to do that, I was really excited because I got a chance to be subservient to the evil queen who I was in love with and would do anything for. And it taught me a lot about love and what that really means. And then the role expanded to being, to being the genie. And I always wanted to play a genie, so I found myself in a built genie bottle, and they rocked it, and it was a real huge set. But I love dreams, and to be in a genie bottle and pop out of a genie and to allow someone to give them a certain amount of dreams to make their dream come true is really something that we can all do for each other, right? So, we can make each other's dreams come true just by a glint in our eye, a smile, telling someone that they're beautiful and what really works about their personality, all of those things. So Once Upon a Time really expanded that for me. Because I think part of our lives are to be in service, not only to what we want in our lives, but the more you're in service to other people, the more your dreams will come true. Because that's how it works. And so that show really expanded my consciousness in that direction.
Great, thank you. All right. We got a few people in line and a few minutes left, so I'm gonna crank it up into another gear. I'm gonna go down and we'll try to get everybody through. Okay, so everybody real quick, what's your name, what's your question, and go. What's your name, what's your question?
Hi, I'm Matt, and some of your Breaking Bad co-stars, Aaron Paul and Jonathan Banks, were recently on Invincible. Do you have any interest in playing a character on that in the future?
I haven't seen that show, so I can't really answer that yet. But now I'll watch, and I'll let you know next time.
It's an alternate take on superheroes.
Oh, got it. Hey, I'm in one of those. The Boys.
Hell yeah!
Yes. Hey, what's your name? What's your question?
Leah, what director would you love to work with in the future?
Oh my goodness, I've had so many directors. What director? What director? What director? Oh, do I have an answer for this? What? Yeah, I would love to work with Tarantino. Thank you. He answered my question. Made it easy.
Hey, what's your name? What's your question?
My name is Jude. Who's your favorite music artist?
Oh my goodness. Well, so I like John Coltrane. I'm a jazz fanatic. So I like John Coltrane.
Hey, what's your name? What's your question?
My name is Isabella. I'm a huge fan of my question is, were there any scenes or episodes in Breaking Bad that were challenging to shoot because of how emotional the show could get at times?
Yeah. I would say Hermanos was really challenging because it was the whole Max Arciniega episode where they kill, Max, and we had that, and Hermanos was the one where we all spoke different Spanishes. And so it was hard to understand everybody. We had someone from Puerto Rico, we had someone from Cuba, and everyone's going off in all this different kind of Spanish. So it was kind of challenging, but it all turned out well.
Nice. Hey, bring us on. What's your name? Which question?
Hey, my name is Joshua. Now I'm curious. How often do you see yourself as an actor filming points where you're making scripts-only decisions versus your own input? As an actor, just from your own personality, into the film, or just for improvisation purposes.
I'm trying to get a handle on your questions.
So it's like how much latitude does he put with himself as opposed to you're playing it like this and this is exactly what it is?
Scripted versus improv.
Again, if the script is really perfect, there's no changes I'd like to make. I think my job is to be an interpreter. Right? And I have to welcome the best material there is. Like, it's a standard. You welcome the best possible life you could have. You aim high, you have high integrity, you uplift people. You want to be with people who get it. So for me, part of me wanting to change stuff is because I can't do it or I can't fulfill it. It's my ego saying I can make it better. Well, you can't make it better unless you can do what's already there. So I don't go in thinking that I can make everything better. I go in trying to fulfill the requirement of what is asked of me. I'm a channel. That's what I'm supposed to do. If I have, I use this word now a lot, suggestion. Don't tell people how to do things. If I have an inspiration to go, oh wait, I just thought of something because you just said something, and I'm inspired to suggest maybe this, because you're trying to uplift it all. You're not trying to do what you want to do. You're trying to make it all sound like a symphony. And that's how our lives should be, like a symphony.
You're always working. What's coming up that you're allowed to share with us?
The Residents, this next week on Netflix. We have Electric State on Netflix, came out a couple of days ago. And now we have The Residents coming out. It's Knives Out of the White House. And you will love it. So a big opening next week. I go to the premiere on Wednesday, and it'll come out, I believe it's on the 24th, 25th, but you guys will look it up. So I have that coming out very soon. And also Poker Face with Sasha Leone. I'm in that season 2 of Poker Face. And my goodness, I got a bunch of, it's been a good time to be me, and I'm really blessed to be with you.
Way you're blessed this time. One final question. Would you like to take a picture with this wonderful audience?
I would love it. Let's do it.